Well, let's turn now for more reaction to Reverend Vahisha Hasan. She's the executive director of the Movement in Faith Project with Transform Network. It's a Christian social justice organization, and she lives in Memphis. Reverend, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you for covering what is really, really hard for all of us. Thank you.
I can only imagine, Reverend, over the course of, within the last 24 hours, I've spoken to about 6 or 7 folks who live in Memphis, and almost all of them said, I'm not watching that video. And I understand you also have chosen to not watch the video that's been released by the police. Why not?
That is correct. I haven't made a definitive decision to never watch it. But in this moment, with the culmination of everything that we're feeling, my body is not ready. Prior to the video coming out, one of the things I said in another interview space was that it's almost like seeing that you're about to be in an accident. You see the accident coming, and your body is braced for the impact. So I still feel braced for the impact of this video, and I have listened to it though, and even listening to it has been haunting. Hearing Tyre Nichols call for his mother now forever lives in my body and in my psyche, and none of us should have to feel that, and let alone he never should have had to scream for his mother that way, being only like 80 feet, 2 blocks from his home. So even in his scream for his mother, it wasn't just like a scream of fear. I mean, his mother could have heard him, and we all sit and wrestle and are saddened, devastated by this.
As the community is saddened, as so many are wondering, how are we in this situation again? What are you going to tell the congregants tomorrow in church?
So I'm a associate minister at Christ Missionary Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. Our senior pastor is Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart, and I have spoken with her, and we are putting together a liturgy or a litany, a way that we can do a call and response and walk through this. Our church is flanked in the sanctuary. It has Black Lives Matter, and we are not new to the integration that there is a social gospel, that Jesus and in our faith tradition spoke on the human conditions of people. And so we're going to keep having the conversation we've been having, but also give time to lament, to give time to be in despair, and also pay attention to the call to action. So we need both, right? We're going to lament, and we're going to be in solidarity, in action with our community, and respond and call for justice for Tyre and his family.
What are you hearing from members of the community? Because certainly, you mentioned the hurt. We've heard that, but we've also heard just people fed up and angry.
That is correct. And, multiple things can be true, and we're humans and we feel lots of different things. People are disgusted, especially people who have long been either doing the data and the organizing work to say that this is not okay. This is what has always been present. Tyre's murder is a visual indication of what we have always known is present in our community every day. There are so many people who have interactions with police that are brutal, but they live. So then the story doesn't get escalated to this. The police are able to frame them as just criminals, as just having resisted, as just whatever the narrative is. So people are absolutely tired, not just because he was murdered, because that's bad enough, but that we are still being over-policed and brutally policed in our communities every day. I was in a clergy meeting, and one mother, we just had to stop. One mother just burst into tears because her son today works at FedEx, second shift, comes home, everything the same. And she's like, Tyre is my son.
I just want to let folks know, in case they didn't know, that Tyre Nichols, the 29-year-old who has now lost his life, was an employee at FedEx. And on the night that he was severely beaten, he was taking pictures of the sunset and making his way home. So we talk about the humanity of this individual. You mentioned the murder, and there are 5 former police officers charged with second-degree murder. All 5 of those officers are also Black men. as is the victim in this story. Does that change anything for you, Reverend? Does that make it more complicated? Where do you stand on that?
I think it highlights a complexity that has always, again, I'm back to the always. It highlights a complexity that has always been present. So there is still race is still an issue, because it was Tyre's race that resulted in the way he was treated. But then, and also, it's this privilege and culture of policing that doesn't lend itself to accountability or transparency, that feels like it is a shield, a protection to be able to be this brutal to Black people. Because what I want to make clear is not that white folks, not that Asian folks, not that the spectrum of race and ethnicity in America, not that all kinds of folks have not been brutalized by the police. But Black people in particular are brutalized because the police of any race know that there's a protection for them. There's a racist system that protects the way that Black people are treated. And that becomes the issue. And then the complexities of them being Black men, some of this gets into, again, a privilege, this hierarchy of the power dynamics of police over people, over neighbors, over me. So this understanding, spoken and unspoken, of what police are able to do with us, how they're able to treat us, how they're able to speak with us. Even if Tyre was still here today, look how they spoke to this Black man over a traffic stop, right? This is how police are speaking and treating and dehumanizing folks every day. The police, regardless of the race in the uniform, it's the system of policing that needs systemic change.
Reverend Vahisha Hasan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.